It's a daily talk show, episode 406.
Weekend Banter.
Happy Saturday.
That's happening, guys. Pete Shepherd in the building. Periscope.
Congrats on 400. I haven't been here since you've hit that mark.
Oh,
so
mate.
congrats.
Did you comment on the video?
I think so, yeah.
No, good.
Yeah.
Just check.
Appreciate it.
I hope so.
You and I were talking about footy the other day.
Yes.
Whoa.
Leading with footy chat.
Yeah.
I like it.
Jesus, as he puffs his chest
Yeah, I
out.
love a bit of footy. No, I'm actually thinking about sports more and more.
Okay, the footy season's towards the end.
It always happens this way. Just got into NBA.
Okay, I don't know much about NBA.
It's the off season at the moment.
Yeah. The thing is, they fuck it. They need a grand final at the start of the season because the way that it's sort of set up is it's the hype, like the very last, the grand final, the main thing.
Yeah.
That's when you fucking get excited, and then you're like, oh great, I'm into it now.
Yeah.
I find it, about
It's
Toronto and all that sort of
That's
thing.
why it's grand.
Yeah.
But you're one of those like sports fans would hate you. Like real. I'm not a sports fan. Like I'm not. They'd be disgusted at you. Like
Periscope Pete
look at
is
you just jumping on. When you see a team winning, you then get on the fucking bandwagon. You haven't been slogging it out.
Well, that's why I want to start. It's like someone who says they're going to start podcasting now. That's, I'm the sportsman in that case.
I don't think it's the same. What are you saying? Because podcasting's
The sport of podcast?
so common now?
Because if someone comes, I'm doing episode 1
Oh, okay, yeah.
as a guy.
No, completely different, mate. I mean, don't compare sport to podcasting.
Well, anyway.
Because then you'll start saying that you're a sportsman.
Well, I'm one step away from that. But Pete, he's an MCC member.
Yes.
Yes.
And who pays
you
it? Yeah, well, let's just get this clear. Who pays it?
Me.
Have you paid it your whole life?
Well,
I
fucking-
think, good question. I think maybe from when I was 18. I feel like the first 2 years it might have been a birthday present. So I got it when I was 16.
Yeah.
Great birthday present when you're 16.
Yeah.
And I think mum and dad probably paid it for the first 2 years.
Yeah, I mean,
I've paid it since I was 18.
I've let mine lapse and I can't get it. I was on the waiting list from the time I was born.
Yeah.
Took 17, 16 years
Yeah,
or
me
something.
too. Yeah, 16.
And so
Which is
my brothers have it.
Mm.
It's $550. I couldn't afford it. I would rather spend that money on the podcast, to be honest. My view is that I'll do something great enough and have mates that are in the media that I can go to the fucking
Hashtag mates in the media.
mates in the media and I'll
Really?
go to a box when the grand final's on.
I love that posture. I was actually talking to a guy about this at the co-working space I work at.
But
And
it's
I
the
was like,
exact same way of saying, like, I'm not going to worry about super because of this.
we were having a conversation about super around lunch, and I was like, "What do you think about it?" I don't think about it. I'm just going to be really rich. I was like,
Yeah. Well, we spoke about this earlier in the week.
Well, it was because you were doing Vox Pops for Barefoot
Oh,
Investor.
Yeah.
And I heard the conversation like, man, so many people are fucked. They're like not worrying about their super. To be honest, like my whole thing has been like, screw super. I'm going to be.
Sure, there wasn't the conversation you guys were having.
it might have been you actually, on one of our walks.
But I mean, this is. I was listening to Conor McGregor on. Do you know who Conor McGregor is?
He's a boxer. He
got
was a
us-
boxer.
He's got us.
He was a
Yeah.
boxer,
He's
but now he
he's-
does UFC. He's an Irish dude.
Did he start as a boxer? I
Fucking just settle down, all you gronks that have no idea.
Mixed martial art.
He's a UFC fighter that then went to boxing to fight one fight against Floyd Mayweather
Because there was
and
heaps of
made
cash into
$85
it.
million
Yeah, right.
It's a lot
from
of
one
money.
fight,
Yeah.
10 rounds. But he's this visualization fucking poster boy. He was on Tony Robbins' podcast, and Tony Robbins is all about that visualization and trampolines, and cold plunge pulls and big hands, just like people with
huge hands.
Yeah.
But
Don't you fucking start, Pete. Look at the size of your
visualization. Mum and I were having an in-depth conversation about visualization, and Mum had just watched the documentary on Walt Disney.
Yeah.
And Walt, his story, amazing. Created some of the most iconic
mouse characters.
characters in this world. Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Most people in the world. It's a most famous little thing. But I don't even know.
I set you up with that one, just
Mouse?
No, it was just funny because it was like there's heaps at Disney. I guess.
Yeah. What else has he made?
Fuck.
What else?
Minnie Mouse.
No, he's got it. You got it. You got the other one. The closest one. Anyway,
Just in 10 more seconds. What are other Disney characters?
I was hoping you didn't ask that. Aren't the
Pocahontas?
Yes.
Aladdin.
Yeah, I was
No,
going to
here we
say
go.
like the Aladdins of the world.
I mean, everything we grew up on, essentially.
Beauty and
was-
the Beast as well. Like those sort of things. Yeah.
like
They bought Pixar. Does that count?
yeah, that you read that, you heard that in the book that you bought.
Great book.
What's
Creativity
it
Inc.
called? Creativity Inc.
really good
Long, but great.
That's just good. General knowledge, not good.
Anyway, visualization.
Back to visualization.
He was a man of visualizing and seeing what he wanted and thinking about that. And I kind of had this counter conversation to that thought around visualization. I was like, yeah, but I see these people who are very successful and hindsight 2020 and the way that they articulate stories. I know how to tell a good story. And I can sort of look at, Josh and I, we were slogging away in his apartment with these 2 USB microphones. On the day we started the podcast, we actually drove to, where was it? The
Store DJ.
Store DJ. We bought an extra mic. I had one from something else.
I used an Atlas to hold up. My neck was so sore.
I've been known to do that.
Bree took some photo. Like it was uncomfortable and it was awkward. You start sort
and
of
look at us now.
It's a great narrative.
No, but you start you wrap your success in just sort of, you anchor moments in time as the turning point. And I could easily say it was at that moment that we thought we could have something here.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I think about what's happened with me any time I've ever had progression. We've just been so in it and that's all I think about. And I'm just like laboring and fucking feeling so much over this thing that I just love.
So are you visualizing or no?
Well, what I'm saying is I think that could be the essence of the visualization. It's not it doesn't articulate like The Secret does, like they've articulated, which is, think about where you want to be, start grabbing photos and put them up on the wall, which I think is all a good thing, but I don't think
Pete, do you do it?
most visualization happens in that way. It's not as sexy as it was when I was 7 that I saw the stars and that's what I wanted to. Maybe for some, I don't know. What do you think?
Maybe for some, but not for me. Certainly not for me. I've been thinking about this a bit recently. Is looking back at the last 2 years of your life, you could tell a certain narrative. I could tell a certain narrative about my life using the highlights along the way, or you could tell an equally as true narrative with the lowlights along the way, and you could paint a completely different picture. And it's interesting the picture we can paint in hindsight, to your point. But I don't sit there and say in 2 years' time that's where I'm going to be, and then look at it. I'm like the opposite in that sense.
Are we wrong? Do you think maybe it's like, because I see Conor McGregor and he's a storyteller at heart.
Yeah.
He's the ultimate marketer.
I don't think I've ever heard him.
He's unbelievable. Just the way he demands the attention in the room.
Is it because, do you think it's the status of knowing that he could beat the shit out of you?
It's the way he talks. It's his
he
psychological warfare he plays.
He's
Irish, yeah.
Really good storyteller.
But he's humble in defeat, humble in winning. Like he's just an absolute weapon. Anyway, that's why he makes $85 million for one fight and does something that's never ever been done before. UFC into fighting the world's best boxer, Floyd Mayweather. Anyway, I think, but maybe we should be cutting things out. Maybe we should do a day in the office here. I reckon you'd be around this. Get some old magazines.
Oh yeah.
And we do a bit of the Secret
Scrapbook.
We actually,
I'd love to scrapbook.
yeah, we scrapbook. We cut shit
The
out.
last time you did it was for a fucking presenting role you never got.
Yeah, never.
Did you get rid of that poster you made?
I think my mum has one of the photos from it.
So what was it for again?
I was literally just trying that, and I've done a lot of these things in my life, trying. And I'm not. I don't want. Yeah, experimenting. I'm not jaded. I don't disbelieve. I don't not believe in visualization, but I don't know if it is as fucking crafty as like getting the book and cutting out Bali Villa that I want to have one day. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, to me, it's sort of whatever works for you. I think if people are out there and they believe in that and they do that and it works for them and they get value out of it, like all the power to you. I don't think there's a right or a wrong way. I think there's each people's version of what works for them. Some people like to sit back and tell a story in hindsight. Some people like to sit there and say, in 5 years' time, this is exactly where I'm going to be. And, through various ways of getting there, maybe they end up there and that's awesome. Or maybe they don't, but they change their mind and go, no, but this is what I wanted to do anyway. And so you start to like almost confirmation bias as you convince yourself that the steps you took along the way were deliberate, to your point, but maybe it was just chance. And maybe you just happened to get there and you now can tell a really nice story using all of the highlights of the last 3 years.
Yeah. Maybe, Josh, it's like when we're content in what we've got that allows us to then show, like I think we're in a place where we enjoy what we do. And so maybe you stop then having that approach. Maybe probably the times that I've done the real visualization is because I'm not happy.
Was
or I
part of the
don't
visual
identify as happy in that moment.
I wonder if the like us doing our highlights video, in some way, it's a visualization because it seems big. Like even though it's using all the materials that we've had, it still feels like having Craig Harper saying, it's going to be one of the biggest podcasts in the world.
That was a good lead into that video. By the way.
It was great, wasn't it? We actually think about it. Any moment that a guest is saying something nice.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, okay, time code. I'm just looking at 97. Just
like
write
right
that down.
No, you're right. It's
But also, I was just going to say, I wonder if your version of that is you talk a lot about we're going to do this for 10 years and we're going to be here for 10 years and we don't know what's going to happen over the 10 years, but we're going to commit to doing it every day for 10 years. Like, is that your version of visualization, maybe?
Yeah. Visualization without action is useless. You can't just be in a jail cell visualizing. I mean, actually, Martin Luther King, he got out after a while. But I still think if you don't get off your ass and start working, none of it's going to come to fruition.
Yeah. I wrote something recently around how I think inspiration is overrated.
You've got a blog, don't you?
I do.
What's that website again?
abev.blog, which stands for a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
.blog.
Go to it.
Anyway, so I wrote this thing the other day saying inspiration is overrated because it's fickle and like it relies on some external third party that you have to sit around and wait till you feel inspired. Is like more important is a process or a practice, which you guys have in the podcast, where you can show up every day and commit to doing that regardless of whether you feel shit, regardless of whether you feel awesome and inspired. Is like that's how you create change over time, 1% at a time, as opposed to waiting to be struck by inspiration, which may or may not happen.
With all the people that you deal with and speak with and coach, what's the common pain point that you see? It's just super, super common, if not inevitable, in your pursuit of success.
I think the biggest one is that everyone is their own roadblock. Is everyone is in their way to some degree, and so it's how can you help them get self-aware to realize that they're the ones telling themselves a certain story that's shaping them in a certain way, and how can you give them the tools and the resources and the ideas to help them realize that and then like still move ahead despite that. So I think there's a couple I would say. One is the fact that we're all in our own way, and two is the fact that everyone feels like an imposter and everyone has no one has a clue what they're doing and everyone feels like they're making it up, but they don't necessarily realize that other people feel the same way. And so like realizing that all of us are scared, all of us are anxious, all of us have imposter syndrome, all of us have doubts and insecurities, and yet some continue to show up every single day and others get crippled by that and don't necessarily move forward. So the difference, I think, is in how you deal with that, recognizing that that's almost a par for the course. You have to accept that that's going to happen. You have to accept that there'll be doubts and insecurities. And so what are you going to do about it? So,
you said, Josh, in our video, imposter syndrome, it's good. Like you need a bit of it.
Yeah,
I love that moment. I love how I'm looking at you. Just
I totally believe that.
You know that?
Yeah. Well,
what did you mean? I was wondering because I watched that and go, I love that what you said, but I want to know what you meant. I can't remember.
I think it's probably in the same vein as like Seth Godin's dip and all that sort of thing. It's like it's the friction that then creates the action that feeds the momentum.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have that, you're probably in some form of safe zone.
You're hiding.
Yeah.
You're hiding. I think I totally agree with you. I've heard Seth talk about this a few times and I've spoken about this a few times in front of, audiences and on podcasts, is that imposter syndrome is a good thing because it's a sign that you're doing something that you haven't done before.
Yeah.
And so like every successful entrepreneur, every thought leader, every person who's done something new was literally an imposter because no one had done it before. So it's like recognizing that that's almost like the growing pain of you getting to where you need to go. And sometimes I tell the story of I'm 6'7". I had crippling growing pains growing up, which were shin splints.
Oh, I remember old school growing pains. I mean,
do you remember that?
I used to be in bed and I remember, down where my shins are.
So painful.
Aching.
Yeah.
So weird, isn't it? Your bones literally fucking.
Literally. So I grew like 15 centimeters in a year or something ridiculous. And so I couldn't run for a year and I had back pain and all that. And so to me, that was like, you had to go through that in order to be 6'7". And so in order to bring that change that you're working on to the world, you have to go through, I think, mental growing pains, which come in the form of doubt, which come in the form of imposter syndrome. So all of this to say, a long rant to say, I agree with your point that imposter syndrome is a good thing.
It happens with, I think about the gym and stuff like that and just like the friction of going or even traveling.
Yeah.
Like part of it is what I love about traveling is getting to a point where you can go to a place and feel somewhat like a local.
Yeah.
And then people are expecting though that they can get there and try and sort of somehow hack the system and get that straight away.
You
Or
have
it's
to have
actually
the-
you actually just need to have the friction. You need to be the dumb fucking tourist to be culturally insensitive or not understanding things before you can actually fully understand.
Jocko Willink. Is that how you say
Jocko?
his name?
Jocko.
Jocko. Jocko. I've just
Jocko.
heard people say Jocko.
Yeah.
British Jocko. Yeah.
I mean, he's far from being
He's a
sort of
scary dude.
French or anything.
Is it extreme
Jocko.
ownership?
Extreme
Extreme
American.
ownership. What does he say? Discipline equals freedom.
Yeah.
I love that
Me too.
because it's the discipline to show up in the shit you don't want to do.
Yeah.
That actually is the stuff you want to do. Because even the good stuff, even the creative endeavor that you wish to do every single day, you think you do, will be annoying at one point.
Exactly.
And the
Yeah.
discipline, because when you do something right, it's like the gym. If you can be disciplined to go, even on the days you don't want to, you'll feel good.
Yeah.
You'll fucking feel accomplished, whether it's you physically are still tired, but mentally you're like, I'm so proud I did that. I'm
Yeah.
so glad I showed up. And
Yeah.
then you put it to anything you do. It's so true.
Yeah, and I think it makes the good days even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you guys are a great testament to that over the podcast journey. Is some days, I'm sure there are podcasts that you do and you both like, I really can't be bothered doing this, but you do it anyway. And then the good days when you're all up and about and having fun and having some banter is like, how good's this?
Have you ever had any experiences where through coaching you've actually gotten something out of it, like an aha moment for you personally?
All the time. Yeah. I think this is a very lucky part of my job is I feel like an imposter all the time because of the people I get to work with. And so by me coaching them, I'm actually learning from their industry as well. So a lot of the industries I work with, I don't necessarily know that well.
Yeah.
And so I get to learn by way of hearing the people unpack the things that they're working on through the industry. So it happens to me all the time.
What's an industry?
So
That-
a fascinating one that I've started to work in a lot through Jen, who's a friend of mine and co-host on the podcast I have, is the performing arts. So I have clients that are Broadway stars in New York, and I know nothing about performing arts and performing in front of thousands of people every single day. And so working with them allows me to get empathy for what it's like to be a performing artist. And I've learned so much. And I think vice versa, they've learned a lot from me. And also what we've realized is we're not that different. You know, you can be a performing artist in front of 1,000 people and be crippled by imposter syndrome, even though you're up there like singing in front of people for like hours. And it sort of blows my mind that they have doubts and insecurities as well.
I think it's also hard anytime where you're trying to look smart. I reckon that's like the other thing that I've noticed in life. Like the more I try in a situation, the more it sort of backfires.
Yeah. So I double down on that and I lean into ignorance where I'm like, I don't have the answer. You have the answer. I don't know your industry. You know your industry.
It's a good neg as well.
It's great.
It's like, well, because then it is true. You don't need to have all the answers.
Right.
And then it can be freeing to be like, oh, actually, it's like with the client when they say, how much is this going to cost? And being, we spoke about it yesterday with, quoting and shit, being like, how much have you got?
Nice.
Yeah. What's your budget?
Yeah. What are you working
Yeah.
with?
And then, I mean, like it's a fair question, right? And then it creates this awesome dynamic where it becomes a conversation.
Yeah, because I could go and spend a whole lot of time and come back with this proposal, but if you've got $5,000 to work with, and I'm going to come back with a $100,000 proposal, then
Exactly.
like let's have that conversation now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Being a spectator of sports.
Back
So
to sport,
if I was to, I'm interested. I want this. Like I feel like I've done it not as gear, but I've spoken previously about I want to get into sport.
Yeah.
Hasn't really gone anywhere.
What does that mean? I want to get into fitness. What does that mean?
Well, I
I
just
want to
got
get
into
into sport. Badminton?
no, like I'm wanting to be a spectator of something.
Yeah.
So here's some of the
Badminton?
ground rules.
Curling?
If something that can take maybe twice a week, where it's something that I can watch on the TV, or I can be out and I can get an update of how it's going.
I think we're attracted to things. Like, why does someone love the footy? There's plenty of reasons, but I know I end up watching a lot of fighting. Like I watch a lot of UFC stuff. I watch a lot of recaps. I'm into it. But then I think about.
What are you looking for? Like, are you waiting?
But I just
for
love
one-
it. No, I love it. I love seeing I used to kickbox and do Muay Thai and boxing when I was young. And I was obsessed with Mike Tyson, all this stuff. We were talking about Mike Tyson yesterday or the other day. But I just love it. You don't love it. Why don't you love it?
Well, because I just haven't consumed it. Maybe.
No, but I don't think that's it. I think there is like, why are you so naturally drawn to working at technical shit and strategy? It's just
Yeah,
your
sure.
cup of tea.
Yeah.
Why do you need sport? You don't fucking need sport. Why do you need another thing?
Can you just support me on this sport journey? This is why I never
but I
make
think-
any
I think
fucking
the pain-
progress.
No,
We
but I
need
think
to
the
pick a
pain
league
is,
and
why
I
do you
need to fucking watch it.
There's so many. If we're going to go, what are you going to force yourself to do? There's plenty of other things that would be better for you than watching sport.
It's funny. Though,
Less
this
time
is like
with Bree.
It's like a. You know,
But Bree and I could have a team together.
But
Like, I
then,
was thinking about the hockey.
then you're waiting for Bree.
Poor Bree.
Why do you need sport?
you're going to force Bree to
Why
get into
do
sport
you-
as well.
Why do you need sport?
I don't at the moment.
But you're saying I want to get into it.
Well, that's even
what
I'm
is the
finding
point of
this
that?
even because I never used to drink, and I've just started to get into wine. Jace,
Gary
who-
V. All
yeah,
right,
well,
mate.
the empathy wine thing. No, I took the wine that Jace gave us.
Yeah.
I know Jace is getting a lot of mentions. I've been criticised for that over the days. You think that I'm
You said some pretty foul words yesterday about, you accused me of saying something pretty disgusting, but we won't say it. Pete's
Well, he
here.
said- well-
no, don't say it. Pete's here.
no, but it actually sounded
can
worse.
leave.
No. No, but it's disgusting. Pete's audience are here.
Okay.
Let's be gentlemen.
So on sport.
No, sorry. My point being that wine, I've like started to get into wine, and I'll have it like in the evening, and it's like it's a thing, and I'm like, this a relaxing thing. Like I've started,
Anti-anxiety
So you're looking for
medication.
an outlet in sport, do you think?
yeah,
Like an outlet.
yeah. I think that's maybe what I'm thinking. So the thing
You need
is
an
that
outlet.
like MTV, what's the show? The Hills, right? Like I used to push back on all of this shit, right? I'm like, I don't drink, I don't like fucking watch TV unless it's
Yeah.
moving me forward. And in the last like 2 weeks, I'm like, I'm gonna watch TV and have a wine. I'm like, I feel sort of relaxed.
Like a grown up. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
I feel like a little bit like a grown up.
It's funny though, like just on sport, it to me it sounds like a case of like, the grass is greener on the other side. So I think I mentioned
Depends
this
what
to
the
you.
league is.
I mentioned this to you the other day is I was at the footy on Sunday and I had the thought to myself, I wish I cared less about this.
Yeah.
What a loser sitting in the stand, watching this game, having no control over it.
Yeah.
Like it goes against everything that you talk about is like focus on things you can control and only spend time on stuff that's going to help you. And it's like, I am so emotionally invested in this thing that I have no control over. I wish I didn't. Like I wish I didn't care.
But what I'm saying is, I think it's a natural thing.
Yeah.
I think that I don't know how you'd create that because you're saying I want that. You're saying I want to be into a sport. I don't think it happens by just
I just
watching
grew
a
up-
bit
So
of
I
golf.
can't do it.
I think it comes from starting and actually playing the sport and
Yeah.
then just being in love with it and then just
So I played golf, footy, basketball, t-ball, which we could say is baseball.
T-ball.
Yeah, well, it's just
I
like
guess
a
you've
junior
played them,
level.
I
so-
love T-ball chat.
I don't know. There's something in it. There's something where you just can't explain why you're so emotionally connected to it.
But can I be or no? You're saying no.
I don't. I think it will happen. It's like saying It's like saying come up with your passion right now. You probably won't know, and maybe you will watch. But you've probably watched
But there's
golf.
heaps
You've
of people
probably
who
watched.
don't have hobbies, right? Like, isn't that like a friction point that a lot of people have, which is like, I don't know what I'm into.
So it'll come by action, and
So that's why I need to work out which sports I need to go to.
we've got finite number of hours in our day. Why do you want to spend it,
It sounds
on the
like
couch?
you don't want to. No, I don't want to be on the couch. I guess sort
See
of.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
it's-
I get it.
It's a net.
Is it more reason to sit on the couch and drink red
Yeah.
wine? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, maybe it's like it's like another. Like I do put the footy. I do like the sound of the, like the whistles
whistle.
and like the whole. You know what I mean? Yeah, when you like you
But
have
do
it
you
on
like
in the
it enough
background.
in the background?
That's what I mean.
What a conversation.
Yeah, I don't know,
It's
but
a-
do you know what I mean? You
Sort
sort
of.
of get it.
I don't. You don't have to.
It's sort
you
of
don't
like-
have to
I
say
think-
so.
how about this?
You're
What
trying
about
to
this?
manufacture something that isn't there is what I think
yeah.
I'm hearing.
Yeah,
Because that's what you're saying too. Is like,
Well, I think that's what he's trying to do, but maybe I don't know. There's
maybe it's
probably-
like more social sort
maybe
of things. so-
yeah. What are you craving? Social?
No, because I don't want to go. I think you've nailed it on the head with the couch thing, really, isn't it?
it's the couch.
It's just
We
a
got there.
Friday night, chill out.
Yeah.
But it's also like it.
I don't think this is not a criticism to you, Josh, but you like to officiate things. You like to. I think it's the same with like what we do with the daily talk show bits, and like you love to sort of create labels for them and names for them, and sort of, which I think
Like
can
my
be
strong friendship with Jace.
which I
Best
think
friends.
I think can be counter to the doing the thing. Because it's like there's a piece of work done in right now. What we do with this show is we do these things called TDTS bits.
Don't fuck it up.
And this is what that means. But it's like fucking head down and start. And so I don't think
I do like defining things.
You
It's
do
like
like to define things, but that's what I'm saying. You're trying to define, I want a love for sport. And it's like you're trying to define it, but you should find it. You should just start doing a few things, and maybe that will happen more naturally than trying to go, right, this is what I'm now going to be doing. It's like really calculated. It's like when you said, didn't you think about what you want, why you wanted a baby? It's like, dude, you wouldn't have one if you probably thought it all the way through.
Yeah.
You just kind of have these things.
Yeah.
And then look, there's a couple of gronks. There's 6 of us in this room right now. Just wanted to flex that there was a few more.
Yeah,
people
there's
than
a,
us.
there's a big crowd that
crowd,
bleaches.
There's actually 7.
There's bleachers.
There's 7.
Everybody.
Yeah, there's a real presence. That couch is full. Let's just say that. Okay, so you want me, because it's funny, it's not even shtick at this point. Like the sport thing I'm serious about.
Okay.
I think part of it was like Bree and I were walking along East Melbourne. Actually, I think this could have something to do with it. Well, Dill, can you give Bree the mic and explain, Bree, what happened when we were in East Melbourne coming back from Laurent the other day?
When everyone was coming back from a footy game and they asked us who won. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
They asked you guys who won.
Yeah. I said, who won?
and
And I
then-
said, I have no idea. But then Josh said,
Hawthorn.
Nice.
And they did?
And Bree's like,
How did you know?"
And they're
How
like,
did you?
thank you. I saw it on Instagram.
Okay.
And I was like, fuck, I need to be more tapped into
So
this.
here we go. We've stumbled across what it is. Josh liked feeling useful in that moment.
Yeah.
You want to be able to provide
Yeah.
that to other people.
Well, there was
Is that what it
the elderly people who were like really invested, like, hey, who won? And I just
I
saw.
don't think when a junkie asks me for a lighter that I should be carrying lighters from now on. I don't need to carry lighters. Dude, I don't smoke.
No, but,
I don't smoke. Don't need to carry lighters from now on.
but you could have lighters.
No, I know what you
Yeah, I
mean.
know
You got
what-
to find your own thing. For you, Pete, what do you, other than just being a CrossFit god, what do you do? What's your thing?
You know, I've heard you talk about this a few times and how it's hard to sit and pause and be like, what are my hobbies? And when you said that, I was like, I so agree with that. And we've talked before about how if you love your work, it doesn't feel like work. And so is that a hobby?
Well, if you guys fucking thought about it like I did, you'd work it out, wouldn't you? Yeah, go on.
So I think there's things like football to me is I get interested in that. I've played
What team? Can I
Geelong.
guess? Oh, you said Geelong,
I
didn't
did
you?
say Geelong.
I
Geelong
thought
is
you were
my
a
team.
Melbourne guy.
No, Geelong.
Because he grew up down the coast.
Geelong is my team.
Oh, no, you do the other way.
No, down in Ocean Grove, so just
Ah,
past
yeah.
Geelong. So that's my team. I play golf with friends every now and then, and I go to the gym, you know, to your point, CrossFit.
What's
4,
your
5
handicap?
times a week. Oh, 19,
You don't-
20, I think. Not
Okay.
great. Not great. And so I guess there to me, probably the closest things I can think of as hobbies. But other than that, it's, you know, to our point, I love my work. I love podcasting. I love writing. I love reading. And so I guess they're hobbies. And what's interesting is like the older I get, the more I lean into those and speak about those. And I feel like growing up, and maybe you can relate to this, is like there's this idea that you need to paint a picture that you're cool. And cool kids don't love reading books in their spare time. And cool kids don't love,
Yes, they do.
you know, doing certain things. And so
Cool
like
kids don't like super.
right, super, so boring. Why would I talk about that? And so like I've probably like
It's a scam.
lent into that more recently than in the past.
Having your buckets is cool.
Buckets.
No, but it's literally, I think being financially independent is fucking cool these days.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just because we're older, you know. It's kind of like there is freedom in being financially free.
Why do you think I'm
financially-
cool?
Definitely not for sport.
What is it then?
I think your knowledge around the shit that you obsess over, and that shit is the fucking strategy, the online stuff, the video. I think, yeah, you do. I think you're pretty lucky that you picked something a long time ago, whether it's luck or whether it's just, I don't know.
It was my version of an MCC membership.
Yeah, you picked up a video camera.
Mm.
It's pretty cool to be a person that can do videos.
That's really cool. I think the other thing that's cool, honestly, is
This is great, by the way.
this is one of the things I think that makes you cool, Josh. Do you want me to look down the camera?
Yeah.
Snippet.
Get this as a
Is-
snippet. Time code.
You are unapologetically.
Okay,
Start
we
again,
get it
start again,
clean.
start again.
We need it clean.
There
We
you go.
need it
Cut
clean.
and action.
And say my name at the start.
Josh, one of the things that makes you cool.
I laughed over that. Do it again.
Josh, one of the things that makes you cool is you are unapologetically you. And I think there are so many people out there, myself included, certainly in the past, that struggle with how you show up in certain settings. And we just mentioned this of like trying to be cool, trying to not say things because you're worried about what other people think of you. And I look at you and think you are someone from where I stand that is so good at just being comfortable being yourself. And I think that's the coolest of traits.
Well, thank you, Pete.
That was a bit serious, wasn't
But
it?
do you think that do you think more people are thinking about I want to get into a sport thing and maybe just don't articulate it or talk about it?
But what would it be then? If you can't articulate it or talk about it, how would you
Well,
even
people
know
just
that
do it, I guess.
Well, you start doing things. Look at this, right? We do this every single day.
Mm-hmm.
What if we did a bike ride along the Yarra, not as like down the tracks and went to the jump park and just hung out? Like I hung out at the skate park as a kid for hours and hours and hours. I was into it.
Yeah.
I can now pick up a skateboard and do a grind. In
That's
fact,
pretty cool.
50-50.
That's cool.
Okay.
But I can drop in at the bowl. But I don't have the interest now that I did once. When I was in Shepparton, I had this. Did you know I was on radio in Shepparton?
Really?
You guys on the couch know that?
Is your neck okay with the chip that's being developed on your shoulder?
No, but I actually went and bought a skateboard. Mate, I've been having the same conversations for the last 10 years. The
We all
hobby
are.
thing
This
on
is the thing.
radio.
We've only got like 5
I've only got so much.
thoughts.
5 thoughts.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was about the hobby stuff, and I was like, as a kid, I loved skate parks. I loved being at the skate park. There was just a bowl. It was like a shitty skate park when we grew up. Now they're just millions of dollars spent on them, and this one in Shepparton's fucking epic.
Yeah.
Epic. So I went and bought a skateboard. I was then hanging out at the skate park by myself with these young gronks, and it was so funny. It was like intimidating, and I was out of my comfort zone, and I was trying to learn this thing, falling over. Still could do it, but I remember the other kids and just sort of. I took Bodie to the skate park on the weekend.
Oh, those videos.
Yeah.
What a rock star.
And there's kids flying around everywhere, and I just remember there's rules at the skate park. Don't fucking drop in on me. It's like surfing.
Surfing's the same.
Don't drop in on me. I'm in. Like there's phrases and stuff. So there's like these little micro worlds.
It's like culture. I guess
Yeah.
maybe I'm obsessed with like different cultures. And so like I bought a bike and got Leica and did
But
all that
are
sort of
you
thing.
obsessed with cultures? You're obsessed with you're obsessed with cultures outside of the culture, because the thing about the subculture of skating, you got to get through the barrier of like other little gronks fucking looking at you badly and like, oh, you shit, you dropped in on me. And then the funny thing was, I kind of penetrated this subculture.
Nice.
And one of them, I was trying this trick constantly, and he just looks over and he's like, sick. That's sick, bro. And he just gave me
That was the
recognition, and
moment.
I was fucking, this 11-year-old had rattled me.
That was the moment.
And you're in Shepherd. This was
I
like
was 23, 24. And I was like,
Skating with
I'm
11-year-olds.
finally accepted. Like, I'm in. But this is the thing. If you wanted to get into cycling, there's a world you need to enter.
yeah.
The sports thing, there's like this it's more of a culture, not even a subculture, AFL in Australia.
Yeah.
But these things, so that's where define whether it's an interest in cultures from the outside. I love seeing it's weird. I love looking at, oh my God, I don't even understand that. But then to be a part of that culture and the subculture is a different thing, because it takes pain. It takes, discipline to actually enter it into it and make it a thing.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
I think this is something you guys are doing with the Daily Talk Show, by the way, is creating a place where people want to go to feel like they belong. I think that's what we're talking about, is these communities, these groups, these subcultures are places where people feel like they can belong. They can go there, they can be themselves, and they feel like they are accepted, and they can co-create these spaces. And what I think is interesting is you guys are doing this with the Gronk Squad, and whether you realize it or not, is like you're creating a group of people who feel like they belong, and they are connected by, instead of being the skate park, they're connected by the Daily Talk Show. And that's
Pretty low level entry.
that's pretty cool. All you got to do is be a Gronk and listen to our
Mate,
podcast.
you're already one.
I mean, could we maybe I'm overthinking still, but maybe it could be a thing that as a show, the Gronk Squad, what does the Gronk Squad like in regards to sports? What's our league of choice?
I don't want to put a label onto it. I like fighting. I don't need you to be into fighting.
Okay. Could we do something
Do you
we
know
both
that
like?
I was in the back of Matt D'Avella's car in LA while Bree was in the back with me? No, we were all in the back. Did you know what I was doing on my phone? I was trying viciously to find the live stream of Conor McGregor versus Khabib. And I was just fucking, for me to be so interested to just be searching through live feeds, I was like, oh God, lost it. That was on there for a little bit. I have to be pretty into it, but I don't need you to be doing that. So it's like, I
did that with about North Korea for a while.
Yeah?
Absolutely obsessed.
With North Korea.
With North Korea. Wasn't I? I think Bree could agree. Was I not into North
You're
Korea?
obsessed. Like YouTube videos, documentaries, reading, anything you can imagine.
What's it good for?
What did you learn?
It's an interesting one. What's
it for?
Yeah, I mean, it was just yeah, but I just had CNN. Fuck, how much time did I spend on watching CNN?
I can't even count. A lot.
Yeah, I would watch a lot of CNN.
Are you better
like
for
the
it though?
entertainment.
Do you know the
I don't retain huge amounts of information, but I hear news bits about what's happening, and I'm like, it reminds me of like there was a time where I'd be editing and I'd have like, especially when there was a high amount of tension, especially October, not last year, the year before. Like people weren't even going to Japan and shit. Do you remember that? They were like fucking cancelling their holidays.
We had a guy that had travelled to North Korea on this show.
Mm-hmm.
He said it's fine, but I mean, he might have all been a show.
But he was, he was part of a tourism.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's one thing that I've been obsessed with.
I think you need the discipline to actually stick at these things.
Mm.
Do you want it enough? Because why? Like we want this enough, so we do it enough. What is it?
Well, yeah. What can our 10,000 hours? How many 10,000 hour things can you have?
What's something that you do, Pete, that we wouldn't really know about that you've spent a lot of time on? Or are you pretty open book?
Fairly open book.
I mean, you stand out, so it's hard.
What'd you do to your thumb?
I don't know, actually. I cut myself preparing dinner last night, and I just noticed it this morning. So there's a Band-Aid for those wondering.
Yeah.
But the thing that would surprise you, I don't know if it would surprise you. I think they're pretty open, is the podcasting.
What about interest? So like I find I've got quite a general knowledge on, and who BMAC, who we've got on tomorrow, is fucking so fascinating. He knows so much about rap music, singers, just that culture.
Wow.
It's phenomenal.
Maybe radio stuff. Like I think that's maybe my obsession.
You guys know a lot about radio.
Yeah.
I know nothing about radio.
You'll never hear me saying I'm trying to get my head around radio.
Yeah.
But it's something you'll hear Josh. And what does that mean? I don't fucking even know what that means. Radio, the medium, like the people in it, but it actually is something, it's like a bit of a project that you love.
Well, I'm trying to work out like, okay, every market in the world, who's listening to radio, who are the best radio talents in the world, who are doing cool shit in, Drive in fucking Cleveland or something like that.
How about this? These are the things that we naturally gravitate towards. That whether they benefit us or not is another thing. I think the radio thing for you, that little project, it benefits us, definitely. The North Korea thing, I don't know how much benefit there is in that for you as a person. You can't
it just feels like
half the shit you read.
Yeah.
But what about the things that don't benefit us, but we really should be doing them? So we look to go, the equation is I have an interest in them. It's that sort of initial gets me there to then work it out. But what about...
Isn't that like wine? Like that's what I wonder. Things like wine.
It's too easy, dude. It's you're taking in a substance that's altering your mindset. That's why I've tried to not do alcohol this year. I haven't tried. I haven't had a sip. But
you have been trying though.
I've been trying. It is a constant battle. I'd like to have a glass, but
there's a culture around wine too, don't you think?
Huge culture.
100%.
Yeah. Same
but
as
it's
coffee.
different to beer or different to like other things, right?
Yeah, there's all these little cultures of footy culture, beer culture, wine culture, coffee culture.
But I think it's easy. Drinking alcohol and feeling fucking a bit fruity and just a bit tingly, feeling like warm. Ooh. Yeah, feeling good. That's what I feel. Like you feel it in your blood. I fucking, when you have a glass of wine, you're just like,
feel warm.
oh, you just sort of sink in.
So what's the bad bit?
Dom's on the couch looking, he knows what I'm talking about.
I mean, what is it like?
So I'm saying that's easy. So you're saying this wine thing, you can get into it. I'm saying the shit that's hard. For you, it's exercise. Actually, like gym and that's a hard
as soon
thing
as Jay
that you
says
need
he's going to the gym, we're
that
going
you
to the
need
gym.
to do. Like,
So you're saying things that are actually good for us that we need to do that we don't do.
and so that's why. How do you find the discipline to do those fucking things?
Yeah.
Hey guys,
So I shouldn't
it's, it's Dom from HR here. Hi
Dom.
Just finishing my lunch over here in this great show, by the way.
Thank you.
A long time listener. I want to know though, Josh,
Yes.
when you got asked by that person who won the game,
Yes.
Did you feel left out?
No, I felt the opposite in that moment. I was like,
Felt like you
I
belonged.
was like, oh, you know what? The crowd, we're all walking as a crowd. If anything, I was like, Brie, I wish you'd fucking knew who won. You know, it was a bit of that, which is
Yeah.
okay. Which is okay.
You feel
included.
disappointed in Brie.
Well, no, I did. I'm not disappointed in Brie, but I was like, you know what? This is what it feels like a little bit to
Be a part of
belong.
something.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Like if I was to live in Richmond or something like that.
Bree's confused.
What?
I mean,
What are you thinking, Breezer?
I have no idea what I'm thinking.
okay.
No, but like the Richard, like if I was
Josh,
living,
is your
Josh-
mind moving to if I go for Richmond, and because I want it, and then I can move there?
no, if I
be
live in
closer
Richmond,
to
I'd be
fan
closer to
base,
all
and
the
then I can get the T-shirt, and
the whole experience. No, but
all in.
You're the
But-
boss of the Gronk squad, bro. You're the CEO.
am I the boss?
Well, you're up there with me.
Can we get that as a snippet?
Co-boss.
I'm the boss.
Co-Gronk.
No, but I think
I'm
this
the
is
boss.
what you're creating something. You're
Yeah.
whether
I
you're
just like
being
the
a part
idea-
of it, you're actually bringing people into something.
Well, that's why there's something I like about like where Brie and I live is like opposite a beer, it's not a garden. There's no garden. What's that called?
No, it's a brewery,
Brewery.
urban brewery.
I like watching and seeing people drink and just not partaking, but just being at home, being like, oh, I enjoy
Mm.
that. I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean you're seeing.
But it
from the
always
window,
comes back to the gym.
Include me.
No, I don't want to. But the thing is, I would hate to. Like, there is a bit which is like, I like that. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't like going out that much.
Mm.
So it's like I don't want to. It's that weird thing of it. No one ever wants to go anywhere, but we all want to be invited.
If we picked something each that we aren't doing that we want to be doing, what is it? What's it for you, P Dog?
I think it's probably
P dog. Does
It's-
anyone call you P dog?
never in my life have I been called Peter. But I like it. I'm into it. I'll lean into that. So I think it's probably I'm a terrible, terrible planner.
Planner
Mhm.
for
You talk
just
about
like
this on
Planning in the
show.
future. Like Chelsea will be like, oh, we should plan a holiday for February. And I'll just like instantly get anxiety.
Yeah.
And I know that in the interests of our relationship
Mm.
and the collaborations I do with other people, that if I was better at planning,
Mm.
it would be helpful.
Mm.
And I avoid it actively.
Is the opposite? Is the person that doesn't plan gets to the time and goes, "Fuck, let's do something now," and wants to be more spontaneous?
Yeah.
Is that-
I think that's probably more me.
Are
is-
you spontaneous?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. More so than I am a planner. I'm not like the most spontaneous guy in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm more of a spontaneous person than I am a planner.
Yeah. No, I'm in the same. I've got that. Like I always come. It wraps around to New Year's, and I'm just like, "Fuck, we should have booked a house to go away."
Exactly.
But
what
if
I
we
do.
did it 6 months ago, it would have made so much more sense and been cheaper. But I want to do it now.
Yeah, but
It's weird.
I
and
didn't want to do it 6 months ago, right?
I know,
I-
but then you don't have
I'm
the
with
money
you.
to
Exactly.
fucking buy the $3,000 a week house.
I'm with you. I know it would be helpful,
Yeah.
and yet I still can't
Yeah.
bring
I
myself
can't
to do
work out whether I'm a planner or not.
I mean, you plan. Actually, you went away for 3-4 months. And
Yeah,
you
that was
hardly
a big
planned
pl-
shit. I mean,
Yeah, no,
when
we
saying
planned
you
that
planned
we-
a lot. Like,
No, we planned that we were going.
it. You were pretty spontaneous on that
Yeah,
trip, from
yeah,
what I
yeah.
gathered. Is
Yeah.
like we haven't booked our accommodation yet. We're figuring
yeah.
it out.
I mean, I
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
don't know what
So I know
Brie actually did versus what Josh told us. So
True.
I'll just
I have friends
tippy-toeing
that have
here.
Well,
like
I was like, I was spontaneous to whatever Breed organised. That's a way of describing it. You know what I mean? Like, no, but I was like detached.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Where
Yeah.
did we want to go? The only thing that I actually booked was Amsterdam. That was for a IBC conference, like all about gear and stuff.
Yeah.
See, there's your love. That's what you love.
Yeah, so you plan things around things that you like.
Yeah.
Mm.
What's it for you, Josh?
No.
Something you don't want to do. You know you should do it. You know you kind of want to do it, but then there's like
Oh, the exercise thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
just forming that habit, that
Yeah.
fucking daily. Or
Yeah.
s-
I think
every
it's part of
second day.
it. Part of it is about like combining it with something else.
But
Like
is this just complicating the thing that's hard? Like, so you're trying to work out how to make it easier, right? Because it's hard. It's hard to show up. Like mixing it in with something, doesn't it? It's just like I'm trying to. It's like
also
but
like
then
Pete
if-
and I, my walks, like one of my favorite things I do
Yeah.
during the week.
yeah. But then what about if Pete can't make it? And then
Well,
I
I don't
think
go
this
on a
is the
walk.
problem. Like the training partner thing I get is so fucking helpful when I've
Mhm.
had one a lot of my life. Not recently because it hasn't been a part of my plan. My
Mhm.
plan was every second day I'll do something regardless. No 2 days off. And I've hardly trained with somebody for those times.
Yeah.
And That's not ideal.
How do you find that? Yeah.
It's not ideal, and I don't train as hard as I do with somebody else, but that's not my goal.
But
My
you're still
goal is
doing
to
it.
show up.
Yeah.
And so I'm just saying, how do you just go not connecting it with somebody?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because people
So
get
August, so say like the start of the month.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that, like, what could that be? Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, this is the problem when you've had so many. Like, I've had a lot of gym memberships in my life,
Yeah. It's
and
not
so
the
then
gym
it's hard.
membership.
Like, you don't want to call you constantly call bullshit on anything that you could potentially have come up with in your head because you know you've
But if
fucking
you know-
tried everything.
If we know the answer isn't the gym membership, we know all the things that aren't the answer.
Yeah.
So then it's like just
What el-
fucking move more.
What else could you experiment with?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm not trying to answer it
Yeah,
for you or
yeah,
say
yeah.
you're dumb
Yeah.
for not like it's.
Mhm.
I get it.
But I think it's interesting. We all have these things that we know we should be doing more of, and we don't, even though we know that they benefit us
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
benefit our partners.
Well, that's why I think like even the red wine thing, it's not really it shouldn't really be a thing. Like I was thinking about it, like in regards to like, if I was to make something if I was to create a new habit, it's sort of like people who start smoking at 30. Who the fuck is that
I know,
person?
mate.
Is that true? Do
Yeah.
people do that?
Yeah,
One of Amy's best friends.
really.
When
It's
she was
just,
30. Wow.
it's full on.
It's just like
What a strange
Haven't
habit
seen
to
it.
pick up.
haven't seen the packets.
Yeah.
And this same person picks the packet that is.
Based on the disease that's on the front.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
Can I just have the?
That's full
the,
on.
Can I have the eye cancer one?
Yeah, the eye one.
Oh, wow.
There's something a bit Satanistic about that.
Well,
Potentially.
it's not listening to yourself. If we learn anything from harps, it's fucking listen to
yeah,
your body.
what is that?
Listen to your body. That's not like I think about me drinking as a human.
If you listen to the body, nicotine, like what you
If
were
you'd
describing
asked
with
if-
alcohol,
Yeah.
it's like
it's
like
a
there is
lot
something
worse.
like there is.
My body tells me I want more nicotine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
But
could,
I've not listened to my body a lot in my life when I've been drinking alcohol.
Mhm.
The choices I make when I'm on alcohol, drinking alcohol when I haven't felt great, it's
Yeah.
not that great for you when you know, like all these things. This is not listening to your body at a small level that we can brush off because you end up surviving.
Yeah.
But yeah, on that bigger level, it's interesting.
yeah, it is.
So maybe hockey. Maybe I think the hockey one I like because of the fashion and the style.
Ice hockey or just regular hockey? Field
3D
hockey?
deal. If I'm to
Yeah.
do hockey, what sort of hockey?
Ice hockey all the way. It's
Yeah.
the only way to do hockey.
Can you
How
imagine
about we
Josh playing
do-
that?
No, Josh, you would die.
Really?
I'm being dead serious.
Why?
It's a violent physical game.
Yeah.
I can be
There's-
quite
There's
violent.
guys skating around at like 30 kilometers an hour shooting a puck that goes in upwards of 100 kilometers an hour.
Okay, yeah, sure.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
All right.
well,
Getting
well,
smashed into
I
boards,
think I
you
could-
would die.
I think I could get into the at least spectator side of it.
He needs to watch this
Anyway.
podcast back.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the Daily Talk Show. Thank you so much, Pete.
Thanks for having me.
The long and the short of it
Yeah.
on Apple Podcasts. Definitely check it out.
Yes.
The latest one is on all about the planning.
It is actually about
So-
playing, which we spoke
That's fun.
about, which is fun.
We'll
Awesome.
see you tomorrow, guys.
Bye.
See you.
Oh, I won't do that again. Sorry.